Hear the word.
Khan, Shalom, Yahweh B'Ashem Yahweh Shai, Barakatah, Kwame Asherallah. This is day one of the Feast of Purim, double-edged sword, right?
Khan.
The Israelites.
Khan.
And we are here, man. We're going to get a feast. Let's get into it. Okay. Shout out to the elders, double shout out to the elders that's putting in this work. And shout out to the sisters that's representing their men, keeping their households alive. And shout out to the brothers that's doing the work on the highways. And also, even if you in the house, man, keep doing this work. All right, so let's start off with Esther chapter 10.
Write it down. Write everything down.
You got to write this to make it part of the lesson.
Esther chapter 10.
Stop. You want me to read or what?
Salakia. Let's start with Esther chapter 3.
Esther chapter 3.
Salakia. Start at 1.
Enter to Bluetooth.
We got a reader. Okay.
Check, mic check. All right.
All right, Esther chapter 3, verse 1.
Esther chapter 3, verse 1. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advance him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. Then the king's servants which were in the king's gate said unto Mordecai, Why transgressest thou the king's commandment? Now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath, and he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had shown him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai.
So they was trying to destroy all the Jews, everybody, man. We're going to find out in this story that the reason why we celebrate the Feast of Mordecai is the fact that he saved all the Jews from being destroyed. Because Haman, this wicked Haman, was trying to put all the Jews to death, man. And I'm glad that didn't happen because we wouldn't be here. Go ahead.
Verse 7. In the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of the king Ahasuerus, they cast Pur, that is the lot, before Haman from day to day and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month Adar. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, There is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people. Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them.
So it's talking about the Israelites. It said their laws was different from everybody. They don't even keep the king's laws. They keep their own laws, man. Everybody else.
We don't kiss no butt.
We don't kiss no butt. Even in here, we was in the spirit of the Maccabees. Go ahead.
Verse 9. If it pleases the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business to bring it into the king's treasuries. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it to Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. And the king said unto Haman, The silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants, and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. In the name of King Ahasuerus was it written and sealed with the king's ring. And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey.
So we learned yesterday, what day is that?
The month of Adar?
No, in the month of Adar, the 13th day.
Just,
What else happened that day?
That was,
the liberation of Maccabees.
They killed what's his name, right? What's his name?
Nicanor.
Nicanor. That's right.
One question though.
What's up?
What is the Agagite?
Agagite.
Yeah, what is that?
Well,
I mean, I know it's a people, but I'm saying, what people is he from? Is he an Edomite?
The Agagites.
Yeah, because I ain't
Nah.
seen him nowhere. I gotta look at my dictionary.
It's
now
like when
for
you
the
say
Agagite.
Assyrians.
tomorrow.
He's a what?
No.
Oh, say tomorrow. Huh? Okay,
Correct.
go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
No problem.
God, no, all praises. So, yo, imagine these letters going around talking about we got to kill all the Jews. They're going to try to do that again today. Exactly. They're going to try to do that again, man.
That's gonna happen again.
So, nothing's new under the sun.
Nothing.
We already know that. So, let's see how our people had to deal with it.
He's so soft when he's doing the software now. You know? Back
Wake
then.
up, Israel. Wake up.
God.
Wake up, Jacob. Verse 14. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day.
So, this was a commandment,
Right.
right?
Man.
Now, you got these people talking about we got to follow the laws of the land. That's a commandment. I guess they'll follow that one too,
Roman,
right? It's a commandment, right? Go
That
ahead.
brother read this.
Verse 15. The post went out being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan, the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed.
God. Right? So right now you got Haman or Haman trying to kill all these Jews, man. Right? Sending letters, sending to all the provinces everywhere around. We got to kill them. Let's go to chapter 4.
Chapter 4. Esther chapter 4, verse 1. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and a bitter cry. Verse 2. And came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting and weeping and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she rent raiment to clothe Mordecai, and to take away his sackcloth from him. But he received it not. Then called Esther for Apttmh, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai, to know what it was and why it was. So Apttmh went forth to Mordecai unto the street of the city, which was before the king's gate. Verse 7. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasuries for the Jews to destroy them.
It's always about money.
Verse
Always about
Verse 8. Also, he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in unto the king to make supplication unto him, and to make request before him for her people.
So the thing is, Mordecai is so displeased at what's going on, and Esther is the queen of this king that's trying to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey man, we gotta take one for the team. You gotta go in there and make supplication, try to change his mind. Go ahead.
Verse 9.
Israel's beauty, man.
And Apttmh came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Again, Esther spake unto Apttmh and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days. And they told Mordecai Esther's words. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. Right. Verse 14, for if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this?
Right.
Verse 15, then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer. Go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so will I go into the king, which is not according to the law, and if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him.
God, Esther said, if I perish, I perish, man.
That's how I gotta be.
She's in the spirit.
This is for the Most High.
And it's said that Esther is one of the most beautiful women ever to walk the earth.
Mhm. Yep.
Brothers was crying. How bad she was. Right?
Really quick. And fasting is important too, man. Fasting.
Yeah,
It's hard for
fasting
brothers to
them
fast.
3
Fasting is-
days, man.
Gone.
You have to fast.
Let's go to let me see.
The next chapter.
Esther 2:5.
Okay, still got what I need. It's just the top.
Let me go Apocrypha real quick. Go to Editions of Esther.
Go ahead.
7.
Where we going?
Apocrypha. Editions of Esther.
Is it gonna be?
Well, hold on. I just want to see something. Go to chapter
We have it
13.
13. What do you want?
13 verse 4.
Declaring to us that all the nations about the world were scattered, certain malicious people.
Okay.
To all nations. I guess that's talking about us.
Yeah, because I want to match that up with.
13.
You said Esther what?
Hold on.
He's trying to find it.
14.
Damn, see, it's hard because we're trying to beat time. But I could have started.
That's
with
okay.
verse 1.
Just take your time.
All right. Let's
I know we started a little late.
let's go back then. Let's go to Esther chapter 2, and you hold.
That's all.
Just hold that.
Okay.
Regular Bible.
Esther chapter 2.
Back to the Bible.
Yes.
Just read through.
See, my notes is all over the place.
Man.
Now we're at Esther chapter 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Esther chapter 2.
We got to go backwards because
Okay, cool.
we kind of dealing with time. But
Okay.
Okay.
all right, go ahead.
Esther chapter 2. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what was decreed against her. Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan the palace, to the house of the woman, unto the custody of Hegi, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things for purification be given them. And let the maiden which pleased the king be queen instead of Vashti, and the thing pleased the king, and he did so. Now in Shushan, the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite,
Mm-hmm.
who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Heconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away.
Now, read Editions of Esther, verse 5, chapter 13.
13 verse 5.
Uh,
Editions of Esther in the Apocrypha, chapter 13, verse 5. Seeing then, we understand that this people alone is continually in opposition unto all men.
Salakia, verse 4. Salakia.
Verse 4. Declared unto us that in all nations throughout the world there was scattered a certain malicious people that had laws contrary to all nations, and continually despised the commandments of kings, so as the uniting of our kingdoms honorably intended by us cannot go forward.
Right? So, remember, we just read that in verse chapter 5.
Yeah.
How, basically the Israelites was well renowned for keeping their laws and not bowing down to any other kings, even in captivity. That's why this captivity is the worst we've been in, because even in the other captivities, we was able to keep our laws. We was able to go in our temple, right? But when we was in the Edomite captivity, starting with the Greeks, they said, nope, you're not Jews no more. You can't keep no feast days. You got to be Greeks. And it's the same thing here. We done lost our identity. So this is the worst captivity by far. That's why it's the last one.
That's why you shouldn't even vote.
Right. It's against the law to
Yeah,
vote.
you putting another person above you,
That's right.
and you the kings and queens of this planet.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
The princesses. 'Cause-
that's Deuteronomy 17:15, I believe. Just to make sure.
yeah, I think it is.
In case the brothers want to look it up or sisters want to look it up.
And we still breaking laws to this day. Our people.
Deuteronomy 17:15.
Yeah, but that's just
Yeah, that's-
the
that's
precept
about
to not to vote in America, because they're not going to help you anyways.
No,
You're adding more to our people, man. You're adding more laws that we want to break.
one of the preachers coming in and
Right.
Creflo.
That's Creflo right
Pretty
there.
much.
All right, let's go back to chapter 2 and finish where we was at. I think verse 7, right? Come on.
Esther chapter 2, verse 7. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful. When Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter.
Right? So that wasn't even his daughter, but he took her on. And it says her name was Hadassah, but her heathen name was Esther.
Right.
Go ahead.
Verse 8. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan, the palace, to the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house, to the custody of Haggai, keeper of the women. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him, and he speedily gave her things for purification, with such things as belonged to her. And 7 maidens which were meet to be given her out of the king's house, and he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women. Esther had not shown her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the woman's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her. Now when every maid's turn was come to go into the king Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months, according to the manner of the woman, for so were the days of her purifications accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things for the purifying of the women. Then thus came every maiden unto the king. Whatsoever she desired was given to her, to go with her out of the house of the women unto the king's house.
So Esther wasn't his only wife, but she most definitely was the best looking one, right?
And she had to smell good.
Right, right. That's why we're gonna read when we read chapter 4.
That's crazy.
Mordecai said, she said, I can't go to the king right now. It's not my turn. We got all these other girls. I got to wait 30 days. Right? So we see here that Ahasuerus, he had all these women, but Esther was one of them. And he chose her even though she was, an Israelite. Right?
Yeah. I mean, 12 months and nothing but good myrrh and all that baby in your skin.
Right.
Boy,
Right.
You had to be delicate and
and tender, right? I mean, we had to do that when we found a heathen after the spoils of war, and we took the heathen as women. We had to pare their nails and had shaved their head, and they kind of have to go through a purification process too. Okay.
Keep continuing.
Uh-huh.
Verse 14. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned into the second house of the woman, to the custody of Shashgaz, the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. She came in unto the king no more, except the king delighted in her, and that she were called by name.
Amen.
Now when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go in unto the king, she required nothing but what Haggai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the woman, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her. So Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus into his house, royal in the 10th month, which is the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the state of the king. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mordecai sat in the king's gate. Esther had not yet shown her kindred nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, 2 of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus. And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther the queen, and Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name. And when inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore they were both hanged on a tree. And it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king.
So what's going on is, Esther's getting favor by the king because he loved her, and he even put a crown on her head and let her keep her feast days and keep the commandments. Now you got to be a special woman to do that.
He didn't know she was a Jew, though.
He did.
Oh, you did? I thought
Yeah.
you said she didn't declare that.
Con? Let me see.
Yeah, she didn't say nothing until.
Oh yeah.
Until-
You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right. Yeah. She didn't say
It wasn't
nothing.
until the time Haman wanted to kill us all.
Con. And then also, you see that Mordecai, he told the king that these dudes wanted to hang him.
Yeah.
So it's like he got favor from Esther and he got favor from Mordecai.
Yeah,
Right.
man.
So we're kind of like working on the inside right now. Let's go to chapter 5.
So it's the king has a series that's the so-called Persian. I mean, so-called Persian, right?
Yeah, that's
Xerxes, right?
That's
Xerxes,
Xerxes.
yeah.
Because ours is Xerxes.
okay.
From 300. Right?
Okay. All right, chapter 5.
Esther chapter 5, verse 1. Now it came to pass on the third day. That Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house, over against the gate of the house. And it was so, when the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. Verse 3. Then said the king unto her, What wilt thou, Queen Esther? And what is thy request? It shall be even given thee to the half of the kingdom.
He was ready to give her the half the kingdom, man.
And you know what, man? To let you know this was a sister. Even to this day, man, they name girls Queen Esther.
Yep.
To this day.
Huh.
I got an auntie named Queen Esther.
Queen Esther?
Queen Esther.
And see, this is how you know she a sister too, because she wanted half. No, I'm just playing.
Hey.
He said, give me half the kingdom. All right, go ahead, brother.
Verse 4. And Esther answered, If it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet, and I have prepared for him. Then the king said, Cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Esther has said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. And the king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, What is thy petition, and it shall be granted thee? And what is thy request? Even to the half of the kingdom it shall be performed. Then answered Esther and said, My petition and my request is, if I have found favor in thy sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet, and that I shall prepare for them. And I will do tomorrow as the king has said. Verse 9. Then went Haman forth that day joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up, nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai. Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh his wife. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. Haman said, moreover, Yes, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared but myself. And tomorrow I am invited unto her also with the king. Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate. Then said Zeresh his wife and all his friends unto him, Let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king, that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou and merrily with the king unto the banquet, and the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made.
Right?
Oh man, hatred.
Hatred, man.
Yeah.
But you see,
know he was preparing him for
his own self, right? And the thing is, you see Mordecai, Haman came to the banquet, and Mordecai didn't move for him.
Yeah.
Like, man, you a heathen, man.
Yeah.
And Haman was like, now I gotta hang him, right?
Yeah.
But see, the Most High, you know, the same road that you could take could be the same road for your destruction. I don't even know if that's the proverb, but it's close to that.
Man,
Something like that. God.
After this, I send me the recording to my phone.
Send the recording.
Yeah,
It's on.
You mean the live stream?
Just go to the page.
Oh, it's live?
The YouTube channel, yeah. So
Yeah,
when
it's
you
not-
leave, you can still watch it.
No, but it's still going live right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's still stay here.
Okay.
So I can get the whole lesson. I kind of bounce.
Well, even after it's live, it'll be on the page, so you can watch it anytime.
So I can go back to it some more.
Okay.
Some of the scriptures, I don't quite understand it, so I have to go back to it.
I got you. Con. You'll be able to rewatch it.
Shalom, bro.
Oh,
It's kind of
shalom.
bound.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's getting the nice one now.
God.
I haven't yet. Gotta go eat. Gotta eat warm before. It's tomorrow. Cold or nothing.
Okay.
Tomorrow's gonna be lit.
It's 1 hour from tomorrow.
Cut.
Now one wine bottle, 3 wine bottles.
Yeah, tomorrow's no hot, so I want to enjoy my hot food right now.
Okay.
If
All
I
right,
make it on
man.
time.
Take it easy.
Oh, Raul.
But I still catch it online.
Hey, watch it live ahorita.
Tomorrow I'll bring you if it comes,
The GoPro.
we can unmask it.
Con, we can use it instead of
Yeah, better
computer. Yeah.
better picture.
Con.
Come, man.
Hello.
All praise to the Most High.
Hi, Lloyd.
Yes, sir. Shalom.
Stay out,
Yeah,
man.
you glowing.
Thank you,
Stay out, don't go down.
You got it, brother. You got it. You got it.
So what you trying to tell him? Don't end up on Broadway.
Exactly.
Down on Broadway.
Right. Hey,
Yes, sir. Raul, take care. Tomorrow. We're gonna go back on Broadway, David. You're gonna like it.
so
Yes, 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
All right,
read
brother. Are you ready?
read again from
Where?
from 9 down to
Esther chapter 5, verse 9. Then went Haman forth that day joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai.
pissed.
Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh, his wife.
Right.
And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. Haman said, moreover, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared but myself. And tomorrow I am invited unto her also with the king. Yet all this availeth me nothing so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate.
So he was like, man, I had a good time. You know, he's telling his wife, we was partying, drinking, you know.
Yeah, having it all.
But Mordecai messed my night up because he would not move that damn Jew. So then we'll see what happened.
Verse 14. Then said Zeresh his wife and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high.
Now, who said this?
His wife.
His damn wife, man. All in his ear. Hey, why don't you just hang him? Make some gallows. Go ahead.
Said, let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high. And tomorrow speak thou unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made.
Man, that's wild. Wife over there, all in his ear, talking mess.
Bugging out.
I mean, she's a wicked woman and a heathen. Right?
Shit.
Fast.
Right. All in his ear. And it pleased him. He said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do that. Now, the thing is, we could get into the rest or we could save it for tomorrow. Because it's about to get into the actual
lesson.
The other ones, we got.
all
You
right.
said you got to go to work at 6?
No. I'm saying 6 o'clock. The sun gonna be down.
Yeah.
All right, let's read chapter 6. Chapter 6.
Okay. Read chapter 6.
Yeah.
Esther chapter 6. On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of records of the chronicles, and they were read before the king. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, 2 of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king Hazaris. And the king said, what honor and dignity has been done to Mordecai for this? Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, there is nothing done for him. And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman was come into the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him. And the king's servant said unto him, behold, Haman standeth in the court. And the king said, let him come in. Verse 6, so Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor? Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delight to do honor more than to myself?
Proud.
Oh, the Most High code. You can't help but love this.
His pride started going in on him.
Verse 7, and Haman answered the king, for the man whom the king delighteth to honor, let the royal apparel be brought, which the king useth to wear, and the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown royal which is set upon his head, and let this apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man withal, whom the king delighteth to honor, and bring him to on horseback through the street of the city and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighteth to honor. Then the king said to Haman, make haste and take the apparel and the horse, as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai, the Jew, that sitteth at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken.
Man, bro.
Yeah.
It's
Oh man.
Most High got a sense of humor, man. A lot of times he'll judge you with the same thing you trying to do on somebody else. It's beautiful.
Like yesterday, really quick about the Maccabees when they were that Edomite was cutting everybody, like how he was doing it, and at the end it happened to him. The same
It happened to him, and it's funny because he stretched out his hand, and they ended up cutting his head off with the hand. So you know,
that's funny.
Verse 11. Then took Haman the apparel and the horse and arrayed Mordecai and brought him on the horseback through the street of the city and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hasted to his house, mourning and having his head covered. Man. In 13, and Haman told Zeresh his wife and all his friends everything that had befallen him. Then said his wise men and Zeresh his wife unto him,
here we go again.
if Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shall surely fall before him. And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlains and hasted to bring Haman unto the banquet that Esther had prepared.
Man.
Bro.
So what he thought it was going to be sweet, it turned into sour real quick.
Oh man.
I mean, he was planning, he was prepared, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And just like that, it got changed right on.
And then when he was puffing up what he needed done, it wasn't for him.
It wasn't
like
for
he
him.
Thought it was going to be.
Right. He was like, well, you know, I think he should come on horseback. And okay, cool. Let's go do that to Mordecai. You know, what you got?
And like Esau's trying to, prepare himself right now to leave space and all this.
Right.
And then it's gonna get back on.
It's funny because it's funny you bring that up because they trying to go to space and all of this, and little do they know, Christ is going. I mean, the Most High going to send His Son from space in a chariot that's looking like a little rocket, like they trying to leave. He gonna come destroy them in the same thing that they trying to get out of here on.
I gotta let y'all know, man.
That's crazy.
They ain't made it past the Van Allen belt.
Nope.
They didn't get to the moon because the moon is within our hemisphere. But anything past that, they not gonna get past that.
Right.
That cooks everything. They ain't got no metal hard enough to get past it.
Right.
And honestly, I feel like that's Gabriel out there cutting everything that come through. I really do, man.
And because they have a picture of a rock, something like a UFO next to a rocket.
Yeah.
And they have a picture where it's like a ball of light, and then you see like the rocket blow up, but they seen a picture where there's like a quick ball of light.
Anything that come through, they turn to gravel.
God.
And that's why we ain't been getting hit by nothing like they be saying, oh, this big old thing. Nah. Anything come through the Van Allen belt be destroyed, and anything going out. That's why you can't go to the bottom of the ocean. It's the same thing. The pressure
that pressure
there,
will, yeah.
But up there is what they call that? They got a name for it, man. But it's like electrical. It just cooks everything that comes through.
It's like
they don't have a metal hard enough that can.
It's like extra radiation. Like
Yeah.
Passing the Van Allen belt.
That water down there, it's like jelly.
Yeah.
It's so pressurized. It's like damn jelly, man.
Yeah. I think that's what a Leviathan is.
God.
Leviathan is a real creature, man.
Yeah,
we know that.
No, he's in a certain part of the earth where it's a lot of water.
Yeah.
Second Ezra chapter 6.
They say that the deepest part of the ocean is a trench that's between Mexico.
It's like a big hole, right?
Yeah. And they say they can't get down there for nothing because it just crushes everything from the pressure.
Right.
So when they go out there, it get cooked. So they ain't going nowhere.
God, that might be where. It might be where Leviathan
even
is.
says the Leviathan. Hey, it even said that in the scriptures where it says second Ezra, where it says that the Leviathan skin is harder than the most heaviest steel.
It's harder than anything that they can't penetrate.
Yeah. So that makes sense.
That's a good point.
We gonna keep going.
God. Chapter 7.
Okay, Esther chapter 7. So the king Haman came to banquet with Esther the queen. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted. It shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to the half of the kingdom. Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then the king of Zaris answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he? And where is he that durst presume in his heart to do so? And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman, this Amalekite fake Jew here.
Right.
Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen.
Well, he was sitting there. That's a cold ticket.
I mean, she was like, it's like she had a trump card.
Yeah.
And she was like, ooh, I can't wait to play this thing. Man.
Oh, man.
He asked her, hey, what do you want? You want anything? She said, oh, by the way, there is something I want. Now that you ask.
That's the same thing that happened to John the Baptist, man. When the homegirl
Yeah.
did
Their birthday.
the dance of the 7 veils on it.
Yep.
And he said, whatever you want. And my mother said.
And who said it? The damn mom.
Yeah, the mama said.
Just like in
the John the Baptist. Because John was calling it out on her. She was Harry's brother's wife.
Right.
Herod's
brother's wife.
Yeah.
God, these wicked women, man.
Man, I'm telling you.
Go ahead, brother.
Okay. Esther chapter 7, verse, what is it? 7. 7. Let me see.
And the king arising.
And the king arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Man, this is Xerxes from that movie 300. So you can imagine how he must have been feeling. You know? Verse 8. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house?
Man.
As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face.
Now, do you think he was really trying to do that?
He just fainted.
I think so too.
Yeah, he fainted.
But she was like,
on the bed. And she was like, man, I know he ain't trying to hit my broad in front of me.
Right. I mean, he was digging himself into a trench by this point.
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
Verse 9. Verse 9 says, and Harbonah, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standing in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon.
He said what?
Hang him thereon.
God.
So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai.
The ones that he had built, the gallows that he had built
for Mordecai.
Right, read 10 again.
Way in the beginning. Way in the beginning.
How in the fuck did that switch up?
The most high, bro.
Verse 10. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's kind of like when them Edomites stormed the Capitol and they came in. Did they bring them gallows?
Yeah.
That's like the Most High turning that around and saying, we're going to hang on y'all on there.
Yeah.
On their own little device. Right?
Yeah. And then Trump trying to claim that, I didn't do nothing with it. You know, it wasn't me.
They know he did, but because he's white, they let him go.
They pardoned him.
They wasn't even listening to when the Democrats was giving up all the info. They said that they was playing with their toes and looking around. They wasn't even listening because they never knew. They never thought about voting against Trump.
Right.
Yeah, he is right now. He's still the face of the Republican Party.
Yeah.
The GOP.
So it's almost like, Babylon got 2 presidents.
Yeah.
And
that's why I say I feel like we're gonna have at least 4 more years, because honestly, I do believe Trump gonna get back in office and when America gets destroyed.
I think so too.
Yeah, man.
Nuclear bomb.
Time to get your shit together, so we can get off these cities, man.
But Biden could do the same amount of damage. John.
I just know we need to be out these cities because they're gonna be too terrible to be in.
God, we got to set up that
Yeah,
the land.
start working on that, man.
God. So we gonna hold it there and finish the story tomorrow.
Okay.
But y'all see what happened?
Oh man, that was
Haman got.
man.
Hey, it's gonna get more colder for Esau, man. When the nukes just strike America, man, they're not gonna see that shit coming.
No,
God.
they won't be able to
Hey,
see
but when
it.
we get into tomorrow's lesson and finish it, y'all gonna see how cold Esther was. Well, I know y'all know, but
Yeah.
Esther.
For the brothers that don't know on YouTube right now,
Yeah, and then tomorrow when y'all on the live and y'all
Remember, I tell you, this is about
Esther is
the most I use it.
Damn.
God.
Hey, but I got a question though. Did they ever see in the scripture that he had kids with King Xerxes or no? It don't really say. It don't say.
Wait a minute. The king,
They don't
the
say.
king wanted to do everything, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah, it don't
he
say,
put
but-
that in the king.
But what do you think? With
That would still be an abomination.
But then it
Right?
turned out
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
his
So the
most
Most High
favorite
just
woman.
changed
But the Most High can
Yeah,
do what he wants.
yeah.
But the thing is, because she had to play her part while she was with, King Xerxes.
Yeah.
So,
And
if
I'm
he
saying
did require her a baby, if she had to do that,
and another
but it doesn't
thing
say
too,
she
man.
Hey, but she was, man, and she was.
300.
Yeah.
That was a move.
No, but
Yeah.
Xerxes
Yeah,
at
that
that time.
never happened.
yes, it did.
300 never happened.
It did
dog.
happen.
They took that story just like they took Samson and turned him to Hercules.
Talking
The
about
Greek took that story
Gideon.
from Gideon's 300.
Yeah, but those people in the 300 are Israelites.
They didn't fight at the at that little section where they.
It probably wasn't that
Yeah.
little part. They probably added little.
Movie
The
to it?
details was changed, but
Yeah,
that
they
part of
tried to
history
make-
and
they-
and
No, I know the history part happened
Yeah.
when they lost to them. But what
Yeah.
I'm saying is,
Yeah.
when they took the 300,
mhm.
that really was about Gideon's 300. Man, they take everything from you.
Yeah.
Of course,
I mean, Samson is Hercules.
But those-
now.
those people were
Hercules is the
those
man.
were the
Samson is the real
Right.
deal.
Laodiceans.
They,
Yeah,
they was Spartans, but they was black. Yeah, that's
yeah,
what
it was. Yep, they were Hellenized.
Yeah.
God,
Just like in the modern day army,
When you check it, man, I'm telling you, man.
yeah, they
Most of the
definitely had
stuff-
to. They had to.
Most of the
Yeah,
stuff the Greeks tell you
it's
is
also
Greek mythology.
mythology.
Yeah.
God,
it never happened.
like Zeus, and,
Yeah, all that.
Hey, just like nowadays, Esau would put the blacks and Hispanics in the front
Yeah.
line,
it's,
And
and
it's
then
kind of
Esau's
like
in the back line.
it's kind of like Norse mythology.
Yeah.
They really be taking these people and really try to weave them into the fabric of their actual like identity.
Exactly.
It's like, yo, Thor and them weren't real, but if you ask them
Well,
Vikings, they're like, yeah,
They gods. They was their
gods for sure.
Yeah. So,
But if it was the actual person, like based off a real person, no.
Yeah, but they try to act like it is.
Yeah.
The thunder god.
The only people that got real gods in their lineage is us,
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
We gods.
We worship the real living God.
Moses really happened, right?
Right.
David really slew Goliath, man,
They
at like
always
13.
When it comes to
You know?
white people,
They live in a
They-
fantasy, man. They live in a fantasy.
they take your history and make it theirs.
God,
So,
They have no history.
no,
They have no
they
history.
dwellers.
we were saying that yesterday. Esau is nobody. That's why he's trying to be
He
everybody.
don't even have a land. Everywhere he went, he took it
That's
by the
right.
sword.
That's right.
What's that? That's Genesis. What they tell you? What Isaiah? Isaac
Oh,
blessed
45,
him.
40.
Yeah,
49?
no. That's
45,
Genesis
49.
Genesis 28, I
Yeah,
think.
28. Where he tell
Get
him,
that real quick.
where he tell him, you gonna live by your
Live
sword.
by the sword.
He tell him that. His daddy gave him. He said you gonna break the yoke.
It's either
of your brother
27 or
off your
28.
back,
On what?
and then you gonna live by your
Esau lived
sword.
by
You
the
gonna
sword.
have a fat
Genesis 27, verse 39 and
27.
40.
do a
There you go.
because you gonna kill everybody. in
Genesis
there.
27, 39.
All
Yeah,
right.
man.
Yeah, Genesis 27 and 30 and 39.
Something like that.
Was it 39?
Yeah.
Read 39.
Verse 39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of the heavens.
Wait a minute, before you get to that
Okay,
part, back it up two verses where you gonna be crying and shit.
Okay, yeah. Verse all right, verse 37.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, verse 37. And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy Lord, and all of his brethren have I given to him for servants. And with corn and with wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Thou hast but one blessing, my father. Bless me even also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept.
Start crying like a little punk.
Yeah, like a bitch, man.
He said, "Hey man, you only got one blessing, even though I just sold it for some meat, sold out the first sellout. The first sellout. He sold his soul for some damn pottage that wasn't even cooked.
Lentils, it was beans.
It was ordained already.
God.
That was
It
when
was
you
still
read Genesis
blood.
25,
It was still bloody.
Like a
21.
beef.
It
Says
tells
feed-
that,
It says red
I
pottage, red
believe
porridge.
that,
Yeah, feed me
Rebecca,
with that
our
same
mother,
red pottage.
All that has taken
Hold on,
venison.
hold on.
the Lord said, and the Lord said that it would. That's the way it just played out.
Yeah.
But in Genesis 25 and started 21, it already said that the older shall serve the younger.
Right.
So it was already prophesied. That's just the way it played out.
Right.
Oh, keep going.
So don't let them Christians try to say, "Oh, Jacob stole the
Yeah,
blessing."
they try to
from
say he stole it,
Esau.
man. That's impossible.
Right.
Go ahead, man.
Go ahead.
All right, verse 39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Esau, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. That's why you got all these riches and everything.
Fatness of the earth is when they steal the best of the land on every nation.
Right.
They get the best of fatness of the earth.
So that's where they get their riches from.
Yeah, they're gonna choose the best land, just like our brothers, the so-called Native Americans, Reuben.
The oil riches.
They put them into what, mud and oil and
Right.
a wasteland, and they get all the farming and oil and everything. That's
Right.
good.
Took they shit.
You know they got
Everywhere
right
they go, though. They
right
just
below
get
the
Aborigines.
what's that called?
In Australia. Yeah.
And then they wiped out the Tasmanians.
Mount Rushmore. Shalaki, right
Yeah.
below Mount Rushmore, there's a Gadite
Yeah,
reservation,
the reservation, right.
and they just gotta look at that.
Yeah.
That's why they get drunk and drink alcohol.
Look
They-
at Gad. Look
they
at
got a-
Reuben destroyed.
They got a big alcohol problem. I would too if I had to look up and see these damn
And
devils.
then Trump
Faces.
went there, and they didn't want them on their
Yep.
land. Remember, it was
Yep.
a big old thing
Yeah.
about that. Go
The
ahead.
Dakota,
That's right.
the Dakota oil and all that. Yeah.
Yep.
Keep going.
And it says by the fatness of the earth, talking about Esau,
Mhm.
and of the dew of the heavens from above, and by thy sword shall thy live,
And by what?
and by thy sword shall thy live,
Go ahead.
and shall that serve thy brother, and that shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck.
Con. So that's the thing. That's Esau's blessing.
Yeah.
The sword, weaponry.
Fatness of the earth.
Harrell says it all the time. They like the Michael Jordan of weapons.
Yeah.
And what's our blessing?
Yeah.
Talent.
No, what's our blessing?
Well,
The covenants,
The
the
commandments,
promises,
the
the serving, the
prophecies.
service of the law,
The law.
the glory, everything. The Most High, basically.
The Most High is
Yahweh
our
Shai.
blessing, right?
In the name of Yahweh Shai, Mashiach.
And that's why they're really mad, to be honest, because that was gonna be his blessing at first.
Yeah.
But I mean, it
Sold
wasn't.
out, though.
It was written already that he was gonna. But
Well, they wasn't gonna be the Israelites because they had pale skin. They wasn't of the earth.
right. But even still, like Esau now is mad because he realizes what he sold for some damn beans.
Right.
Just like Ishmael,
Yeah.
Isaac's brother.
Yeah.
He wasn't chosen. Who's
You
it?
know,
Who's
I don't think the reason is they wouldn't have shared. It was
They
all
didn't
about
course not.
themselves.
Of course
I
not.
mean, we were the only ones that really shared with anybody.
Yeah,
To me,
yeah.
you know, all of them they don't deserve this.
No.
They don't
No.
deserve this.
They don't. They
You know
don't.
what I'm saying? So,
Con.
You're
So-
dealing with some of the most selfish bastards on the
yeah.
planet.
So
Right.
the Most High just said,
And they got
I'm
everything.
forgiving
Man,
their
how is
brothers.
sister out here like
Right
that? It's
now,
cold as
that's
hell.
it.
What up?
How is she out? It's cold as hell.
Look at her, bro.
Well, I'm about to get a
I'll
jacket.
be over there.
Bro, I'm not gonna suffer for style, bro. Fuck that shit.
So then,
Right. Like Zendaya. Con. So
Zendaya.
so that's why Ishmael, who's the Ishmaelites today?
So-called fake juice.
Nope.
no.
The Arabs, right?
Oh,
And then who's the Edomites today?
so-called all
The whites, right?
Euros.
So the Edomites started Christianity and the Ishmaelites started Muslims, right?
Right.
Those are the two biggest religions in the world.
Right.
And that's why it's them, because they're the ones that missed out on the blessing.
Shalom. what you
Ishmael
got,
missed
bro?
out on the first blessing because it went to Isaac, and then Esau missed out on the blessing because it went to Jacob. So now they pissed and they trying to turn all of the Israelites either into Christians or Muslims. You know,
Boy,
Oh, for real. He's coming in 30 minutes.
Is that to
30
defeat us, right?
Absolutely.
Like,
But how can,
Hey, give me Hosea
how
4 and 6.
Okay, here's the thing.
4 and 6.
How can they avoid the prophecy?
They can't.
Okay, so
But hold on.
It's written.
This is
Everything's predestined.
hold on. This is what they're doing. They're prolonging. They're basically prolonging the time that us coming into the truth.
Right.
As long as they keep us in sin, they just got time to play more.
Right.
But once we come in, they know their time is done. So that's why they're doing all they can to. Remember, it says you gotta, huh?
The man of sin has been revealed.
Has been revealed. He has, but not all the way. Not everybody. We still go out here and tell our people that the white man's a devil, and they be like, "No, he ain't." But it's definitely being revealed. It's definitely when it gets to the point where everybody know, we gonna know.
Hey, when they get to that point, that's because.
Hey, but there are Jakes that say they don't even know about
Right.
They don't
Let
have
them know.
friends
Hey,
that
look,
say, yeah,
all
I
the
mean,
shit y'all doing,
yeah, I'm from Judah,
ain't
but
gonna
they don't
work.
know.
You better
They
go
don't
back
put
and
the
get
glamour
the
up. They know who they are.
God.
because they the only ones
Watch
that
out,
know
watch out.
what I'm getting ready to go do.
Right. And actually, when that happens, remember we read in Esther, they send out letters and stuff. That's gonna happen
Yeah, that's
because they have no other reason to. Once they whole thing is revealed,
Bro, they're done.
they're gonna go into we gotta kill them now. Right now, they letting niggas go in the corner with fringes and they letting it.
They ain't really worried about you right now.
Until
they got bigger fish to fry as far as what's happening.
They trying to get that vaccination in.
Yeah,
Right.
Once they get you with that, then honestly, if you take the vaccination, you no longer human.
Yeah,
Because
you gotta do.
Hey, do you see that?
now
Video?
they didn't put machinery inside your body, and
Right.
it changes your
The nano
DNA.
machines and all that. Yeah, I seen that. I seen about that.
Yeah, I seen a
And
video.
it says it changes your DNA, bro.
Yeah, it do. It then they can.
So it makes you a walking abomination.
Why you think they're
Getting
all
cold,
these
man.
It's getting
songs
cold.
up?
You got a sweater?
Get a jacket. Yeah.
Yeah.
You do the shit that they want you to do.
Right. Hey, read your precept, man.
All right, Hosea
4 and 6.
4 and 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. Woo.
My bad. Go ahead.
My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee. Thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing that thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, and I will also forget thy children.
Right. So, as long as we don't know who we are,
Yeah.
because that's the main thing. They don't want us to know who we are. So as long as they keep that up, they can keep what they got going on. They can keep their rulership.
And think about investments and all that shit.
Give me one more precept. Give me hold up.
Oh, I got one.
Wait, no, because I want a specific one.
Okay.
What people?
Hunting with the moon, man, with his wife.
What's that? What's that?
The moon.
Oh, look at that! Look at that!
Give me Isaiah 5 and 13.
That is perfection. Yesterday was missing a day. Look at that.
That woman that you talking about her down there.
That's Johanna's woman. Hey, she thought he was talking about her. That's funny. She like my workouts is working.
He's like, look at that, man.
All right, so he just read Hosea 4 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
And it said, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Now read Isaiah 5 and 13.
Look at it's perfect.
Or what is it? Isaiah 17?
Isaiah 5 and 13.
Rob was bending over and shit.
know,
She turned
I
around.
know.
Look at
I know.
still.
Yeah, because that's.
Go at it, Johanna. All right, 5 and 6.
13.
Oh, 5 and 13. My bad. Hold on. 5 and 13.
Yeah, Your Honor.
Therefore, my people are gone into
Bible-
captivity.
Hold on, because nobody listening.
Say that again. Read that again.
Hold on.
Hold on.
So we just read Hosea 4 and 6.
Right.
Right? What did it say? My people are destroyed.
for the lack of knowledge.
Now read this.
Isaiah chapter 5, verse 13. Therefore, my people are gone into captivity, because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with the thirst.
Right? So that's their plan. As long as we don't know who we are, we're going to be slaves.
Right.
I did a lesson on that out on Wilshire and Western.
Well, I'm just saying.
Is it about knowing who we are or knowing that we have the Most High and we're not
Well, when
worshiping?
you know who you are, you will come back to the Most High.
That's right. That's why that's step one always.
But see, the cold thing, that they ever did to you was put a ball in your hand. As soon as you start playing with the pig skin, you was an abomination continuously. It never moved. Cold game, man. Because you ain't even supposed to touch the pig.
The
And
carcass.
the basketball and the football was made out of pig skin.
Telling you, they knew what they was doing. Why do you think they
And
put
the baseball
pork?
glove.
Why do you think they put pork in toothpaste and pork and Jello and
And
like why not
coming out of
cow?
slavery
Why
at
not
that time too.
goat?
Remember the
It's
all-Negro
live pork.
scene,
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They know what the hell they do, and they know who we are.
that's it.
They read that Bible. They study that
Oh,
Bible
yeah, they
very
do. That's
well.
why
Con.
they make movies. They should.
I got a precept.
All right. And then we're gonna close it on out. Zendaya's over there, broomstick.
Got nobody in there.
From the
He said, "Dang, that's perfect." She over there doing that.
Yeah.
She's like, man, it's working. He called me the moon. He's like, he called me the moon.
When the moon starts to decrease, the next day, because when it's full, it's at its full perfection. But when it starts to decrease, that's when it's. That's what I was talking about. Look, it's yesterday. It was still missing a little. Look, it's a full moon tonight,
Yeah.
15th day. Look at that.
Hey man, let me ask you this: why do people go crazy on the full moon?
They don't understand.
Even when they driving, you got to really be
Okay, Hosea 4:1. And it says, hear the word of the Most High,
15 days
ye
ago,
children of Israel.
Uh-huh.
For the Lord has a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land.
Right? That's a good precept.
Yeah.
That's a good
So
precept.
we in wickedness, man. They don't want us to. This land doesn't have the knowledge of the Most High, with no feces, like the brother said, so we can keep us in sin, so they can keep doing their folly.
That's right.
So
Con, good precept. Huh? Hey, brothers is leaving. Let's close it out. David over there trying to mad. Yeah. See you, David.
It's like, man, I like you. I like your light skin. Let me touch you.
All right, we're gonna close. Let's close it out. So, hey, that concludes the lesson for today. We're gonna pick it up tomorrow. Do the second day of the Feast of Purim. We're gonna do the closing ceremonies, do the feast, and it'd be a beautiful thing, man. But we did read that Haman's wicked, but he got hanged on the same thing that he tried to use to hang Mordecai. All praises to the Most High.
praises.
All praises. So, Shalom, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatah, double-edged sword of Israel, strength and honor. Say something to the people.
Shalom, brother. Strength and honor. Stay strong in the scriptures, man.
That's right. Shalom, Israel. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Khan. Shalom.